For in 1925, 2 years before the publication of Being in Time, so 7 years before the course of lectures on what does it mean to think, an article had been published by Franz Rosenzweig with the title The New Thinking, Das Neue Denken. And it's totally obvious to me that Heidegger has not read a line by Rosenzweig. Rosenzweig died in his 40s. He's a man who had written a dissertation on Hegel and the state. So he knew very well what German idealism was. During the First World War, he managed to write his masterpiece, big volume, The Star of Redemption, which is probably the best deconstruction of Hegel ever given. And after the war, sickness. For these years of after the war, first a few bright articles, and then a translation of the Bible, read only a part of it, done in collaboration with his friend Martin Buber. Now, if one reads the article of Rosenzweig, Das Neue Denken, and one is not to be forgiven, one doesn't, it's available in fact the collection of short essays published by Rosenzweig after the war is unavailable for the time being, except in the juries. And if one reads this article, one is fascinated with the fact that Rosenzweig also thinks that the future of thinking, if thinking has a future, is to be linked to thinking. Doxology is present in Rosenzweig as it is present in Heidegger. But in Rosenzweig's case, it's doxology with someone different. It's not the case in Heidegger. So, Heidegger and Rosenzweig mysteriously have influenced many people. That thinking and thinking, or that thinking and thinking, maybe thinking and thinking in the search of God, is omnipresent in recent, not only continental philosophy. That thinking might be in search of other men and of God. It's a motto in Emmanuel letters. And if you have a close look at what is written in small page in the introduction to totality and infinity, one reads that the thinker I love most is Franz Rosenzweig. One has to take it seriously. Levinas was a man of few words, and if he decided to say that his major debt was to Rosenzweig, he was probably wrong. Now, what I'm saying here is mostly on the philosophical. How can it be of any concern to philosophy and theology? Let us try to say something. According to Rosenzweig, first, German idealism has to be demolished. Namely, the huge synthesis where philosophy thinks the content of theology, where philosophy is in fact the only subject of thinking, is to be refused. Secondly, one has to start afresh to think. And these may be taken seriously. Now, of course, we are all scholars, more or less thinking, and after my lecture, we shall all leave for a reception, and we turn back to our daily high gossip on the books we have read. It's our fate to spend our life reading good books and chat about them. Let us beware. The first thing we have to keep in memory, let's say it already, is that perhaps thinking as we find it in Heidegger and as we find it in Rosenzweig is without a label. Rosenzweig doesn't say that he's doing philosophy, and he doesn't say, of course, that he's doing philosophy. A European Jew will never say that he's doing theology. It's a Greek sport. But if you try to read the Star of Redemption, you will precisely be very embarrassed when you won't know where you are. Looks like philosophy, looks like theology, looks like it's very stimulating. The straight way is sometimes the good way. Simulating may be the best way in certain cases. And forgetting that the question has been labeled philosophical and another question has been labeled theological might be the good solution if we want to solve it. After all, we have plenty of problems to solve. All in our fields have a lot to do. Much has been done, but more is to be done. And therefore, forgetting about labels might make a stream. Forgetting about labels might mean thinking without limits or frontiers. Limits are not a creation of the medieval university. Nonetheless, the limit separating philosophy and theology is a creation. Is there any right to believe that there is such a limit? Well, I'm not a great fan of Hegel. Nonetheless, one must say that reading Hegel, one sees that there is no clear distinction between philosophy and theology, and that is not the proof of his inability to know what philosophy is and theology is, but part of the project. Same case with someone who was not a great Hegel fan, Kierkegaard. It's also part of the project in him not to say exactly what he is philosophy or theology. Now, and to add that in case we are doing science, there are limits. The logician knows very well where logic ends and where mathematics begins. We know it very well because people have attempted to forget it, to blur the distinction, and to have the program reducing mathematics to logic. Right? The program failed. All scientists agree that the program failed. Therefore, we know where the limit between logic and mathematics is. And it's the same case in all hard sciences. But if science doesn't think, if science perhaps does more serious things than thinking, there we can try to think and forget about any distinction.